Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Tonight, we're going to rank the studio albums from the band Ratt, one of my favorites from the 80s hair band scene. Um, Again, this is just my opinion. This is my least favorite to my favorite, so I'm going to rank them according to my enjoyment of these albums. So if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know in the comments how you would rank the Ratt catalog. So I'm only counting the full-length studio albums. I'm not going to count the Ratt EP, and I'm not going to count Collage. This is just the 7 full-length studio albums. So a little bit of my history with Ratt. I discovered Ratt when I was about 14 years old. I got a 80s metal hard rock and 80s hard rock metal compilation, and it had the song Round and Round on it. And I remember hearing Round and Round for the first time and just becoming enamored with Stephen Pearcy's voice. I just thought, this guy sounds so freaking cool. I gotta get an album. So I did. I went and got the Ratt 81-91 compilation, and I loved it. And then from there started collecting the studio albums, and ever since then I have been a Ratt fan. So I came in because I love Stephen Pearcy's vocals, but once I became a Ratt fan, I discovered just how freaking great Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby were as a guitar duo, and really the whole band. It's a talented band. The musicianship is always tight. Songwriting is incredible, and I think Ratt is kind of one of those hair bands that disproves the disproves the stigma of hair bands, I guess. I use the term. I know the hair band thing, that's a term some people don't like to use. I only use it because I say it and you know what I mean. So, whatever. But Ratt, I think, is a phenomenal band, and one of my favorites from that scene for sure. So, coming in at number 7, I'm gonna go with 1990's Detonator. I'm kind of surprised after revisiting all these albums in a short time. I didn't really expect this one to fall to the bottom for me, but I do have to say this is probably the one that I found myself the least into. It's still a good album. I don't think Ratt has a bad album, and honestly, I don't even think Ratt really has a bad song. At least on the official studio album releases, I don't think they really have a bad song. I'll talk about what my least favorite song is when I get to it, but my thing with Detonator, and there's good songs on here. Shame, 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 One Step Away, All or Nothing's really good. Giving Yourself Away, nothing bad. I just don't think there's anything on here that's top shelf Ratt to me. Some good songs, but nothing that I would throw in a list of my favorite Ratt songs. And I think that's ultimately what sinks this one to the bottom for me, because every other album has at least 1 or 2 songs that I would say are amongst my all-time favorite from the band. Except for this one. This one's got a load of good material, but nothing to me that is quite top shelf Ratt. I think it sounds very good. The production on Reach for the Sky I thought was a little lacking. I think this is a nice comeback. It's got a little bit more grit to it. Still a little bit of a polished sound, unlike those first couple albums, but the grit seems to have returned, and it's really clear sounding. But like I said, I think the material on here is good, but there's just nothing that really puts it over the top, at least for me. Detonator is number 7. Number 6, I'm going to go with Reach for the Sky, released 1988. As I said before, I find the production to be a little lacking on this one. I don't think it sounds as great as those first couple Ratt albums do. Almost a little muffled sounding to me in places. And song for song, I think this one's probably the most inconsistent Ratt release. Half the songs on here I think are great. City to City, I Want a Woman, Wake Cold Jr., What's It Gonna Be, What I'm After. I love those 5 songs, amongst my favorite Ratt songs. Beyond that, Chain Reaction's pretty cool. The rest of this album sort of falls flat for me. It just doesn't, I don't know. I find them forgettable. Not really bad. And like I said, my least favorite Ratt song is probably I Want to Love You Tonight. And it's not a terrible song by any means. It just falls flat for me, and I find it to be quite forgettable. Same with like No Surprise and Bottom Line. They're fine. I just find them to be fairly forgettable tracks. So half this album I really love. The other half I find forgettable. Production Not my favorite sounding Ratt album, but still a pretty good album all in all. Number 6, Reach for the Sky. Number 5, I'm going to bump Infestation up to number 5. I have pretty much had Infestation at the bottom of my list ever since it was released. I've always liked it, but it just seemed to be that one album that I just never really got into the way I did with other Ratt albums. But going back and revisiting this one again and giving it a good listen from start to finish, this one's going to jump up a couple spaces for me. It's a really heavy album, probably the heaviest from the band, and it's definitely a return to their kind of sleaze rock form from the mid 80s. This sounds like an album that could have come out 85, 86, 87, somewhere in that range. Songs, I think there's some really good ones on here. Eat Me Up Alive, I think, is freaking awesome. I love Look Out Below is great. Best of Me is a really good song. It's catchy. I think there's some good hooks in it, but the lyrics are absolutely terrible. It sounds like whoever wrote the lyrics for Best of Me, it sounds like that was their first attempt at ever writing lyrics for a song, because it just, the lyrics kind of bring it down for me, but it is a catchy jam nonetheless. Last Call, Lost Weekend, Take a Big Bite. The whole album is really good. I don't think there's a bad song on the album, so I'm going to move Infestation up to the number 5 spot. Number 4, and this is probably my upset pick of the entire catalog here. I'm going to go with the 1999 self-titled album. It's not a debut album. I don't know why I almost said it was a debut album, but I really like this one, actually. And this is probably the least Ratt sounding of the Ratt catalog. This sees the band move into the 90s. This is their first album since 1990, so it had been 9 years. By this time, the music scene had completely changed, and I think Ratt was trying to find where they fit in. I don't think this is necessarily a grungy feeling album, but it does seem to have a alternative rock, post-grunge kind of a feel to it, maybe a little bluesy rock in a way. But Ratt puts out an album here that I think it's comparable to other bands. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Ratt album, but I still think there's some really good material on here that I really enjoy. I think Stephen Pearcy sounds great. His voice is pretty distinct, even though he's not really singing in his typical Stephen Pearcy style. I think just the sound of his voice is very distinct, and he does sound good on this album. The guitars sound good, of course, with Warren DeMartini. There's always going to be great guitar work. Over the Edge, I think, is a really awesome song. Live for Today, I really like. Gave Up, Given Up, We Don't Belong, Breakout. Those first 5 songs, I think, are really great. But my favorite song on the album is It Ain't Easy. And not only is it my favorite song on the album, it's my favorite Ratt song. So take that for what it is. So my favorite Ratt song actually comes off this album right here. And the rest of the album is pretty decent too. So Good, So Fine's a really good track. I think some of the songs in the middle are a little fillerish, but still not terrible songs by any means. So Ratt's 1999 Self-Titled is going to be my number 4. Number 3, maybe also a little bit of an unpopular one here, but I'm going to put Out of the Cellar at number 3. Great album. Great full-length debut album. Sounds fantastic. You got drop-dead classics on here like Wanted Man, Round and Round, Lack of Communication, Back for More. Not really ever been one of my favorite Ratt songs, but still a good song. And some album cuts on here that I really love, like You're in Trouble and Your Direction's Good. I really dig She Wants Money. I've always loved that one. It's one of my favorites on the album, actually. I'm Insane's really good. Scene of the Crime, of course, is one of the most popular amongst the fans. I think that's one of the most popular deep cuts in the catalog. So really great, solid debut. There just happens to be 2 that I like a little bit better. Number 2, my longtime favorite Ratt album. This had been sitting atop my Ratt catalog ranking since I was probably since I first got this album when I was like 14 years old. Dancing Undercover. It's going to fall down to the number 2 spot. I still think this is an incredibly consistent album. Dance is a great, catchy opening track. One Good Lover, really cool riff in that song. Drive Me Crazy is awesome. I don't think I have to say much about Slip of the Lip and Body Talk. I think anybody who knows Ratt knows how awesome those 2 tracks are, especially Body Talk. One of the speediest numbers in the band's catalog is Such a cool track. Looking for Love, probably my favorite song on the album. Got an absolute earworm of a chorus. I've always loved the attitude that they play 7th Avenue with. It Doesn't Matter. Really great song. One of my favorite deep cuts from the band. Take a Chance. Enough is Enough. Probably my least favorite on the album. Still a good song. Production wise, I think this one's a little glossier. I think it's a little bit more produced than the first two. And to me, that's where it loses something. But song for song, I think this is just a fantastic album. I just wish it had the same grit that those first couple albums had. So leapfrogging Dancing Undercover to become my favorite Ratt album, and just going back and listening to all these albums, and I think over the past couple of years I've been starting to lean this way, but I'm going to say Invasion of Your Privacy is my number one now. I love this one. First of all, this album production-wise is absolutely perfect. They took a pretty perfect sounding album and Out of the Cellar and somehow made it just a little bit better to me. I love the guitar tone on here. It is so crisp. It is so clear. It is so crunchy and heavy. It's amazing. There's so much grit to it. There's so much grit to Stevens Piercy's vocals as well. There's just something. There's something there that just sounds so freaking cool. And the riffs on here, the riffs are incredible. Of course, everybody that is a Ratt fan knows how awesome Lay It Down is. The riff in that song is really, really cool. But beyond that, You're in Love, kick-ass riff. Never Use Love, my favorite riff on the album. What You Give Is What You Get. You should know by now. Dangerous but worth the risk. I mean, just all over the place. Great riffs. Great solos. Like I said, You're in Love, Lay It Down, the two classics on here. Great songs. Never Use Love, my personal favorite song on the album. Between the Eyes, I love that one. What You Give Is What You Get. Should know by now. Dangerous but worth the risk. Solid album. Sounds fantastic. Don't have enough great things to say about Invasion of Your Privacy. I gotta go with this one as my favorite Ratt album. So, in the comments below, let me know your ranking of the Ratt catalog from your least favorite to your favorite. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future, and I'll catch you next time.